Hello, lesson 6, compound complex sentence. Again, that's about the sentence structure. Today we are going to learn how to create a compound complex sentence. In the past videos, we learned how to create a compound sentence and then how to create a complex sentence. In this one, we are going to learn how to create a compound complex sentence. Back to Titanic. Okay, let's go. The Titanic. We have here a sample compound complex sentence. Even though the Titanic had never been fully tested at sea, over 2,000 people boarded the ship and left Southampton on April 10, 1912. Why this is a compound complex sentence? Let's discover. What is a compound complex sentence? A compound complex sentence is a sentence with at least two independent clauses and at least one dependent clause. What does that mean? Okay, even though the Titanic had never been fully tested at sea, can you stop here again? Actually not. So this one is dependent clause. Why? Because the meaning is incomplete by itself. We need to complete it with something else, right? This is a subordinating clause or a dependent clause because it starts with a subordinating conjunction, that is even though. So even though the Titanic never fully tested at sea, over 2,000 people boarded the ship. This piece by itself can be a simple sentence by itself, right? So this is an independent clause. Over 2,000 people boarded the ship and it left Southampton on April 10, 1912. And also this one, it left Southampton on April 10, 1912. This is also an independent clause because it can be a simple sentence by itself. So in this sentence, we have a dependent clause, one, and we have two independent clauses. Don't forget that these two independent clauses are connected with and that will make them compound sentence. With even though, that is a complex sentence, so it is complex or compound complex sentence. Let's practice. The Titanic, a movie that all of us watched and we loved. Historical information about the Titanic. Practice compound complex sentences. The first example here, after it stopped in France and Ireland, more passengers joined and the ship continued west. This is again compound complex sentence. Why it is compound? Because here we have and. As you see, more passengers joined and the ship continued west. Why it is complex? Because it starts with after a subordinating conjunction. So after it stopped in France and Ireland, the meaning is incomplete. So we have to complete. Another example. Because the weather was calm, the Titanic sailed at full speed and passengers left safe or felt safe. Why it is again compound? Because we have two independent clauses. The Titanic sailed at full speed and passengers felt safe. I can remove this part and that will make it a compound sentence. Now, how it is complex? By adding because. Because the water or because the weather was calm. This is incomplete, right? Because we started with a subordinating conjunction. Let's go on. Although iceberg warnings came in, I can't stop. So this is subordinating clause with a subordinating conjunction. The crew took no action to alter course and they did not reduce the speed. So we have two independent clauses and one dependent clause. When the iceberg appeared later on April 14, I can't stop. So the information is incomplete, starting with when. The crew tried to avoid it, but the ship struck the side. Again, that's a compound sentence using but. The crew tried to avoid it, but the ship struck the side. As water flooded the compartments, that is dependent clause starting with a subordinating conjunction. The, the bow sank lower and fear began to spread. More examples. Since there were not enough lifeboats, many were left behind, and the crew faced chaos. Although the Carpathia arrived, there was another ship nearby, but it took a lot of time to come. So, although the Carpathia arrived, that is subordinating conjunction, it was too late to save most lives, and the ocean claimed over 1,500 victims. So again, that's compound and complex sentence. After the tragedy occurred, again, that is the subordinating clause starting with after. Safety laws changed and ships had to carry lifeboats for all. So this is again compound and that's complex sentence. Don't forget that coordinating conjunctions, fanboys, for and nor, but, or, yet, so, that will connect two simple sentences to make them compound sentence. And don't forget this list of subordinating conjunctions. With them, we use them to create complex sentence. Now, it is your turn. You have to practice. We have three simple sentences. We need to connect them using a subordinating conjunction and a coordinating conjunction. She was late. She finished her report. She submitted it on time. This language is for those who are still level 1 or 2. But if you want to write it, to write, for example, long sentences, if you are level B2, for example, or advanced level in English, this is not a good way to write. So you have to connect them better. What do you think these three sentences will be if we join them? Let's see. Although she was late. So we started this with a subordinating conjunction, that is although. Although she was late, she finished her report and she submitted it on time. So using although, that will make it complex. And using and, that will make it compound. So it is a compound complex sentence. I called her. I was worried. She did not answer. Think about it. I called her because I was worried, but she did not answer. This is one option, right? Another option, because I was worried, I called her, but she did not answer. He made dinner. The kids watched a movie. I set a table, or I set the table. How can you connect? While he made dinner, so I am using here subordinating conjunction while. The kids watched a movie and I set the table. And that will make it compound sentence. And while, that is complex. So it is compound complex sentence. You need to practice more. That's all for today. Have a good day. Thank you.